Let's see here. Hey, there we go. Greg Parker, whoop whoop, happy Tuesday, everyone. Hey, thanks, Greg. All right. Let's see if I can hear myself. I'll just erase this really quick while we're waiting for a few folks to pop in. We're going to continue to work on this after I do some show and tell here. And I'll explain what this is. I mean, if it's, you might be able to read it, but it won't make any sense probably. I'm still loving this Sumo Grip Eraser. So if you guys haven't tried that yet, check it out. We got Kova's Lookout here. Hello. Kova's Lookout says that they cannot wait to get their copy of ERIS. Man, I can't wait either, man. I've been getting it going with the printer. Just kind of working out all the little kinks and stuff from the from the files, making sure that they look as good as they can. And but all the work is compiled now, and all the credits pages are finished, and the book design is all done. It's just a matter of dialing it all in with the printer. And so very soon we will have ERIS. And on that, one of the first things I wanted to show off today. So first I wanted to show some cool artwork. Some of it by me, some of it by other people. And then I wanted to, we're going to look through H.R. Geiger's Biomechanics. So we were going to check that out. But first, oh, and I have some other little cool manga art toys I'm going to show y'all. But first, I got some original art in the mail from some of the folks that did pinups for ERIS. So the ERIS collection will have some awesome pinups that we're going to use in our source book section. So every one of these drawings is going to have a little information about the characters on them. It gives you a little more backstory into the world of ERIS. And this one here is by Edison Neo. I've been really digging Edison's work for a while now, but especially the last year or two. He's really kicked it into high gear, really exploring the tools, really finding the big energy, and it's really cool stuff. And so I was thinking, man, he would be perfect to have do some ERIS characters. And so I let folks choose who they would do, and Edison picked these two warriors from chapter 2, the root enhanced warriors, and he did a wonderful job. There's so much wonderful texture on here. He's really got his dry brush speed lines going, and these nice kind of dry brushed clouds back here, but then big fat solid lines on the characters, and neat little rendering touches. I like these little splatters. That's like a super wet tiny splatter there. Reducing things to shapes is nice. I like the way this leg disappears into the speed lines. And that's a really nice hand back here too. This is a beautiful piece, and I'm very stoked to now have it in my collection. If you guys haven't checked out Edison Neo, go check his work out. And then I also got a piece here, and it's so cool to have the original art. I really appreciate these guys giving me the original art. I got a piece here by our buddy Jeremy Heiler of our character Solomon. And this one was really cool to get in the mail as well, because I've seen his work before. Obviously we've shown some of it on the stream, but I had never really seen a lot of it in real life, and so this is really cool to kind of see his process. Again, lots of great energy, these little jaggy lines, everybody knows I love those, and this kind of central point layout, which I love. I love the way this head's kind of gooey when it splits. Reminds me of Ichi the Killer, or I was just watching Psycho Gorman the other day, and I love all these little guys falling back towards this planet or moon or whatever it is too. So this is another one that's going to pop in there, and I think it's really, really wonderful. There it is. Hey, that is stinking awesome, Greg says. Jeremy's dropping by. Perfect timing. Yeah, this is really great, man. Really stoked to have it. Oh, and I don't know if I'm supposed to show this. Edison was like, is it okay that I have another drawing on the back, like a layout for a different drawing? And I was like, dude, absolutely. I love that kind of stuff when you get a piece of art in the mail and it has a sketch on it, or just something else that they were working on, or a note. So I was all about it. And then I did a new piece, which I posted on Instagram today. I did a new piece for the source book, which is of my character, me and Logan's character, Coil. So this is Coil. He's one of the ERIS Vanguard that does, he throws these energy balls. And originally he was going to kind of kick him off of his feet too, but there's only so much you can accomplish in however many pages we have. But on this one it was kind of fun because I hadn't drawn these characters for a while. And this might be the last drawing I do of them other than sketches, because the book's finished. But I hadn't drawn the character in a while because I had been coloring it and stuff for the last, I don't know, 4 months. And it was really fun to get back to him and try this sort of ghosted multiple limbs at the same time, speed thing. And it was really fun. This piece like just popped right out, man. It was like, took me like a day. And those are always really fun. And it's crazy because sometimes you're working on a thing like this and it's for the source book, and it might be the last time I draw the character. And I was like, oh, I finally think I know how to draw him now. Like now I think I finally figured out how to draw this character. But alas, that's how it goes. So anyway, I put a color one of this up on the Instagram. Jeremy says that's sick. Thanks, pal. So the other thing, before we go to Giger, I'll just mention this other thing I got right here. But I'm going to have to show it in sort of a non-spoilery way. But, I remember there was a time when I was up in the previews every week looking to see what's been solicited, what the new books are coming out, but I've fallen out of that a little bit. But today, if one was to say, look at the solicitations for maybe Marvel for this August, you might see a familiar name there. You might see the name Tyrell in the Marvel solicits. And here is a little snippet of what I've been working on for Marvel. So if you go to the solicitations to Fantastic Four Fanfare, you'll see that I'm doing a story there. And I'm working on it with my good friend Danny Warner Johnson. So I think you guys will dig it. And I haven't really done a big public announcement of it yet, but hey, you guys that show up for the stream get the special treats here. So it's been a blast, and as you can see, it's got the thing in it, and it's going to be really cool. So can't wait for you guys to see it. But that's all I'm going to say about that. We're going to keep it low-key, right? We're going to keep it low-key. Jeremy says, congrats. Greg, congrats. Awesome. Thanks, guys. And as soon as more information is out about it, I will, I'll try to start showing off some things here and all that kind of stuff. So it is just a short, but it will be, it's pretty fun, man. I finished it up a couple weeks ago, and it's pretty fun. So yeah. All right, let's see what else. Oh, while we're on the topic of ERIS, I'm not sure how well this will show on the stream, but this is the ERIS sticker that I ordered. So we hit a stretch goal to get stickers. So anyone who got a physical copy of the book will get a holographic sticker. It's messing my camera up. But it's kind of got this, the way the holographic look went over this color scheme I did with like a blue and a pink and a purple. It's real hot. It kind of pops out of the black. It's pretty neat. So this is the stickers we're going to have. Let's see. Greg says, yay, more things to look forward to. That's right. Great looking Ben Grimm, says Jeremy. Need it for your new sketchbook. Yes, dude. It'll go perfectly on the sketchbook. So, let's see. First, I'm going to just, I got a bag of treats here. I'm going to show you guys some stuff from that. But first, I'm going to look through Giger Biomechanics. And then after that, I am going to work a little bit on this, where did I put it? This, whatever this drawing is that I was working on. I'll find it. It's around here somewhere. It looks kind of like this, because this is the prep sketch. So we're going to do some cool letters tonight for a little bit. But yeah, man, I wanted to look at some Giga. So H.R. Geiger, as I have always called him for most of my life, but it's actually Giger. everyone knows him as the guy who designed the alien in Ridley Scott's Alien, but he's also a. I'm going to take my headphone out. It's driving me crazy. He's also a. I hope everybody can still hear me. He is also, you know, even before he did, you know, Alien, he already was sort of building these crazy worlds. It's almost like he pre-existed, and then they saw his work and were like, that's what we want for Alien, right? So it was a little different than most movies where you have a director who maybe guides the process with some art people to sort of come up with a look for the piece. And there was some other artists that worked on it. I think Ron, what's his name? Ron Cobb was on that, and a few other people. But anyway, this book became mine via a gift from an old friend / employee when I worked at the School of the Art Institute. My friend Rob Mertens was one of the people that worked with me there. He's a really great guy, and when he was moving out, he had 3 of these giant, these are huge books if you can't tell, giant Giger books that he had bought, and he had got them I think at the Giger Museum, and he didn't want to take them with him where he was going, and he said, hey, you want these, you just got to promise me you're going to hang on to them. And I said, yeah dude, absolutely. And they've been one of my most treasured possessions since I got them, because not only do these include some of the really cool Giger paintings and stuff, but they also include a bunch of his, like, what do you call it, like, you know, pen and ink drawings and things of that sort. So anyway, Jeremy says, phone's about to die, he's got to go though. That's cool, man. I really appreciate that. Giger, though, did these amazing ink drawings, and you can see even things like dot patterns that he used on them, and there's kind of photo elements in some of them sometimes. But these ink drawings are so beautiful that he was doing, so delicate. And then he kind of goes from there, and you get this kind of stuff, which you can see feeds into the airbrush things that come later. And he was doing these in, this was 1961, this was 1971. I mean, I feel like the drawings were probably always a part of his process. And they're really cool to see. And fair warning, if no one's seen Giger before, some of this stuff is maybe a little disturbing or could be a little sexual. So, you know, if that kind of thing bothers you, maybe don't look at this part. You can skip ahead, or you can just shut it off. But if it doesn't bother you, I'll try not to linger on the really bad ones. But yeah, you know, the thing with Giger is that there's no substitute. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, a lot of times there's artists that are really accomplished and have done some amazing things, but they sort of can be replicated. But there's only one Giger, you know? And anytime anybody does anything that is even remotely like what he does, you can immediately see the Giger in it. And he's just got such a unique, incredibly unique voice. This is one of my favorite pieces by him, this ink drawing. It's got these sort of infinite stairs and this huge sort of, I guess now we call them liminal spaces, right? Like the original back rooms and stuff would be H.R. Giger's work. But you have this you know, huge space with this kind of floating nude skull, you know, biomechanoid, you know, is what he calls them, person. And it's so evocative, and it's so it's a nightmare, but it's beautiful, and it doesn't over explain itself. It's just, it evokes, you know. His work is pretty direct, but I don't think that it explains itself like directly, right? I mean, there's themes throughout, and you see a lot of these drawings, and you can see, you know, it reminds me of you know, so much sci-fi art that was coming out in the 60s and 70s, and then onward into the 80s, and, you know, heavy metal, you know, sort of influences, even though he's not French. These books are really great. They're, I think, who put them out? Taschen, probably. They usually do most of his stuff. Sometimes they're really great, and sometimes not so much. These hardcovers are really nice. Some of the soft covers are a little jank. I've got a ton of Giger books over there. I should probably show some more in the future. Again, though, from that last drawing, you get to something like this, and it also evokes, it could be big, it could be small, but it evokes that same sense of scale with these details, and then the kind of depth of field that he plays with the fuzzy edges. Greg Parker says, I'd never think to draw like that. Yeah, exactly. I mean, part of it is the subject matter, and the other part of it is just the way he decides to execute things. He seems to have, an obsession with patterns, with the texture of surfaces, and sort of things that interlock, right? And that's not just on the surface level of, like, he draws things like intercourse or guns firing bullets, but also just with his shapes, they tend to interlock, whether it be spirals that come back in on themselves, or like these spinal kind of shapes in here, they sort of interlock the white and black parts, like a buckle, or a zipper, and so I think that those are some of the things, along with repetition, that give it a mechanical feel, is those elements. They give it that mechanical feel, and then the sort of more curved and then at times figuristic stuff is what gives it the bio part, right? So I can see where he gets that. But some of this stuff too, you think of all the smooth stuff that he does, but there's a lot of things like this one here that have a lot of really good texture on them. It's not just a soft airbrush. There's splattered paint and sort of maybe dabbed paint on it. And then all these little shapes start coming in. These little snake shapes start working their way in there. And I have a klutz here. These books are too big. So what medium is he using is what Greg is saying here. So Greg, the medium would be acrylic paint in most cases. So acrylic paint on paper, which is mounted onto wood, and the scale of these is 100 centimeters by 216 centimeters. Most of them are, like that, but he does some huge canvases in some of the later things. And then he also does sculpture. Some of his sculptures are pretty nuts. They tend to be a little more overtly referencing the objects that they are. And then when we get to here, it's acrylic, but he starts using airbrushed acrylic. Look at that. That is so rad, man. That is so metal. Future kill. And that's a poster for this movie that is not nearly as good as the poster. These hollow eyes. But again, it's interesting because he uses a lot of pattern and he uses a lot of shapes, but then his compositions rarely have a kind of central focal point or a central kind of like typical design of it. It almost makes you feel like you're just seeing a glimpse into a part of some bigger thing. Like almost every one of the paintings feels like that. Whereas if it had like a very classical composition, like you'd see in, say, maybe Frank Frazetta, these things would start to maybe look. The way they would look would be. It would be easier to take in, and so you would feel more at ease with it. And the fact that everything doesn't always line up perfectly, and that paintings kind of just go off to the corner sometimes and stuff, it evokes, wow, there's like, you must be just like peeking into this world of his brain. These sort of neon ones are cool. A lot of these don't get shown when people talk about Giger. He does a lot of cool color stuff here and there. Here's an ad for design for a Poltergeist 2. So once they got him on a couple movies, but it's funny. It's kind of like, I think sometimes they maybe thought he was going to do what they asked him to do, but you don't really control this kind of dude's brain, right? You got to go like, okay, draw us something and we'll make it happen. he's been a huge influence on me ever since Alien. The first time I saw Alien as a kid, I mean, it stuck with me, and I just became obsessed with it, and I learned as much as I could about it, and that's when I learned about Giger, and I saw the old videos of him and stuff, and man, it's crazy. Greg Parker says, wow, he was cyberpunk before it was a thing. Cova's look at. I remember looking at my dad's art book, the Dolly book. Yeah, man. Anything by Dolly is also like gonna be pretty choice. So these are, I think, a little difficult to come by, these books. I mean, there's a lot of editions of them though, so you might be able to find later printings or something like that. I like seeing this too. In here they have his original kind of sketches and stuff, which to see sort of just the way, because sometimes when you're talking about a painter or a sculptor or even a comic book artist, like, we always think of their final form of what they drew, and I like to see how different artists build things. And it looks like he just draws with straight pen onto the paper in these cases for these sketches, and just kind of scribbles them into existence. There's not a lot of I mean, here there's some structure, but there's not a lot of structure in a lot of them. Yeah, look at that. And you turn that into something like this. Do I do a lot of airbrush stuff? I do not. I used to paint with acrylics when I was in high school and college. So, you know, that was my last time doing it, and it was pretty basic stuff. So I don't do much paint. I do want to get back into it though. I would really like to start trying to paint again. These are great, man. These are really great. That's so intense. It definitely scratches an itch that only Giger can scratch. And he just kind of lives this, you know, like he you know, if you ever see the interviews with him, he is his art, you know. He's definitely he's a character, you know. So anyway, here, these are pretty rad too. So anyway, this is Giger's Biomechanoid. Biomechanoid. He had a funny way of talking too. If you guys dig that, let me know. I'll pull out the other 3 or 4 or 5, however many I have of Giger's books. Okay, before I jump on some lettering, which I'll do for a little bit here, I wanted to show some cool tools that I just found somewhere. Sometimes you find old stuff. And this is Decadry, and I don't even know where I got this exactly, but what it is, and I'm going to try to use it in a little bit on this next piece, is like letters, and you just put them on the spot you want them on the paper, and then you rub them on, and then you have this beautiful letter. And I have in this bag a bunch of other similar things, right? So like all of this is the same thing. So these are just some old, I guess, illustration and design type tools, and there's some pretty cool letters in here. And so I've used them a couple times, like just to see it. There's not enough that I could do like a whole project with them. Oh, sweet. I got more of these white ones. That's cool. And it has all these little, you know, shapes and stuff, numbers. It's pretty cool. So I don't know, every time I forget I have these, and right now I'm just kind of doing a fun project, which I'll talk about in a minute, and it's nice to do that. The other thing that I might have showed before was there's these dot patterns that are kind of like screen tones, but instead of you cutting them out, similar concept as these other things, you just rub them onto the paper. And this was the first kind of screen tone that I used, comic text. I got some from Deleter too. They still make them, I think, at Deleter. But anyway, they are pretty cool, and I was using them I did this comic called Gary, which was about the Green River Killer. And these were the sheets I was using on that. When I would do it on paper, I would do, you know, I would rub these dots on the original art. That's how I was doing it. So they're pretty cool. I don't even, you know, I could probably look these up and find some of these. It'd be cool to have some more of these. I need to find them. There's one that's like a line pattern. So so I found it and I was like, yo, I need to do that. Oh, by the way, I got this new shirt. This is an Albrecht Dürer shirt. I got this from Riley Till of Till Death Press. I think our pal Manny helped pack the order, I think. But this is Riley Till Death Press. Check them out. I've got a couple shirts. One is this one. The other one is a Giger shirt, which I'll have to show off on a future stream. I should have, since I was showing the book, but I didn't think about it. I was wearing this today. But check them out. They do some really cool shirts. Okay, now I need to find this drawing. Where did I put it? So I'm working on this book for fun, and hopefully I'll get it done in time. My plan is to have it ready for Cake, the Chicago Alternative Comics Expo. And what it's going to be, Joanne's Fabric, Greg Parker says. Is this, I'm calling it Prophets of Disclosure. And so I've mentioned this before, I think, but I'm really into like alien conspiracy theory people. You know, I like to listen to that stuff. It's kind of entertaining to me and kind of interesting and kind of like crazy, you know. And so I'm doing like a little guidebook about the different people in the community, just like my own little like guidebook on them. And so tonight I'm working on a cover for it because, you know, why not just start with the cover? And you know, see where that goes. But I'm gonna have little rating systems and stuff, and like little icons that each person is gonna have. It's gonna be pretty dorky. But I think I'm only gonna have it at Cake, and I might make it available to some newsletter subscribers. But I'm gonna keep this one kind of a small, fun one. I don't know if I'll, you know, have 1 million copies of it. We'll see. Because I'm just gonna print it myself. So, all right. So we're gonna work on these letters a little bit today, and kind of see where I go. We'll see how interesting that is or isn't. Maybe I can get this a little bit closer for everybody. Let me see. It's so difficult to control this thing. Here we go. How's that? That's probably better. Okay. Greg Parker says, do you have any guidebooks or character sheets for ERIS? I do, and those will be included in the artist edition, which I haven't got that ready yet because that'll come out after the book's already out. But the artist edition will have that kind of stuff in it. The artist editions for the first 2 Kickstarters had the character design sheets and stuff. I did like front and back for each character, and like color guides, and it had all the original sketches of the guys, how they originally looked, because their look changed, you know. I even drew some pages with the old look, and then, you know, got some great feedback from some friends that maybe it wasn't working, and so I did a revision. So all that's usually included in there. I love to see that process stuff when I get books, so I usually try to add it to mine too. So we're doing sort of just like a little, there's like a dreamy kind of image here of maybe an abduction or something, right? But I hope everyone's doing well out there. We're going into the end of the school year here, our first full school year for our kids, so trying to do all the things that goes along with that, and other things like dance rehearsals and whatnot. So it's been a little crazy over here, so I haven't been able to stream much lately. I'm just busy with work, but hopefully this summer I'll get some good streams in. I hope everyone's got some fun activities planned for yourself and your loved ones. Can't wait, Greg says. Yeah, me neither, man. I am very excited. If anything, I'm trying to, you know, I've been dealing with just kind of making sure my files are right with the printer, you know, because sometimes I don't get it right the first time, and sometimes I get a little impatient. Like, no, just get it right, do it once, you know. and you don't have to redo it. You get it right the first time. So anyway, I don't know if these trees are kind of fun. I hope this works. I didn't leave myself as much room as I probably needed for my name, but oh well. I also have not been drawing much the last week because I've mostly been working on files on the computer, which I hate. So I feel like a little out of practice, but we're going to see how it goes today. Again, this is sort of a fun project, just for fun, so let's keep it that way, I guess is what I'm saying. The weather's nice, so I got the window open, but if it starts popping off over here like it does sometime, I'll close it. Really, I was just going to work on the letters, but now I'm like, I'll just do some of these cloud forms here to see what happens. I think I'll probably use some zips on this. I kind of just wanted to get some of this black filled in down here so I can maybe try those letters while I'm still live. So let me do that. Easily distracted here. I'm going to go ahead and do that solid line too. Number 1. Okay. Summertime is wild, especially with kids, Greg says. Tell my son to do things. Takes twice as long. I know what you mean, man. My wife was just trying to grocery shop today with our daughter, and didn't go quite as you know, now that she wants to help. It's adorable, of course, but it's not really that helpful. It's kind of still in the way sometimes, but I'd rather have her be helpful than not. Okay. Knock that in a little bit. Okay. And on the left. Alright. Sorry. Oh, allergies here. Alright, let's erase a little bit of this. I love just getting the basics in there in ink and then just kind of getting rid of all the extraneous lines. I really like that. Then I feel like I'm, you know, you got the bare essentials again, and then you can sort of just put some flair on top of that instead of like grinding that same line into the ground 100 times. Although I am going to do this lettering, I did this pretty much all by hand, and I try not to use the ruler too much, even on with something this size, because it just kind of, I like it to have that little bit of, you know, that like little bit of, I don't know what you'd call it, a little bit of personality or whatever. So right now, I was trying to decide earlier if I wanted this these letters to be black or white, or black with a white outline. And I think, you know, I think that effect is always more importantly than legibility. So I might go with the black, just because I know I can form them up easier than I can with white. And then I can do an outline around that. So let's do that. Let's fill them in. And I have a nice big, no, that's not it. Where's that big fat one right there? Is that it? That one there. Yeah, this is some Copic I had laying around, but it's big fat tip, so you can film any area quickly. I don't really want to use my brush pen because this is a little too precise for that. Because I generally just fill in a lot of areas with that, but this is a little more satisfying too. And I'll probably switch to an even smaller pen to get the sides. So yeah, a lot of days and nights when I'm working, I'm listening to these different YouTube and podcasts, like by these, you know, kind of, I guess you'd call them conspiracy theorists, New Age, I don't know, yeah, I mean, you know what I'm talking about, right? And also just like people peripheral to the UFO phenomenon discussion, which is very, it's like such a, it's this discussion that's been around forever. Being a kid growing up on X-Files, it's just been one that I've always found to be like interesting. And I'm not saying anything about like, oh, I think there's aliens or whatever. I'm just talking about like the whole thing is interesting to me. Like the good, the bad, the true, the untrue, the fake stuff, you know. So I'm like, man, I listen to so much of this nonsense because a lot of it is nonsense. I'm like, why don't I do a little book about it? So we'll see how much of it I can get done, but it's just a casual project to kind of outlet some of that and see if it's interesting to anyone else. Maybe it's not interesting to anybody else, but if it is, you know, I thought it'd be cool to share a little bit. So, you know, that's what I'm working on with this. And so on some of the next couple live streams, I might actually be working on some of the drawings for it because I need to get it done quickly and I don't have much time. And then this will be printed up just in probably just black and white, just a little black and white ash can size book is the plan. I love doing letters and letter forms. Yeah, Greg, that is true. You gotta include them and teach them the skills, but also you gotta get things done. Death Clock show, yeah, definitely, man. Death Clock is. I love Metalocalypse and Death Clock, and they like are an awesome metal band while being a parody of one, which is kind of perfect. And I think most metal people dig on them. And yeah, I love a good metal logo. I love a good metal logo. So I'm going for some of that, a little bit of the old English feel. You know, maybe something that's a little bit mystical or, you know, I don't know, like an illuminated text kind of a deal. Hey, there's Edison. Hey, buddy, how you doing? Speak of the devil. We were just talking about you. We showed off that lovely drawing that I got in the mail from you, Edison. And I even showed him the drawing on the back. I hope that's okay. And now we're working on some letter forms for a little mini comic that I'm sort of casually working on just for myself between gigs here. Hopefully between gigs, right? No, hopefully, more than hopefully. I've got a couple other things I cannot talk about yet that I'm very excited about, and then who knows from there. So, we looked at some Giger as well, so if anybody missed that, definitely rewind. I guess this is way past the time where I should say if you haven't liked the video yet, that would be really helpful, and if you subscribe, that would be extra helpful. So we can get more people in on the conversation. I have missed, I was doing good about watching streams until recently. I missed a bunch. I haven't seen any of Dan's new ones. I saw Manny was on. I saw that Derek was on. I missed those. It has been busy. I tell you, man, there's a difference between doing it like this and just doing a fill button on Photoshop, man. You can see the difference, in my opinion. The main difference being is that when you get a piece of original art, you're seeing everything that the artist did. It's right there. You know, you're seeing the lines they made, how they made them. You're kind of seeing the magic, but it doesn't take away the magicness of it, you know? If you don't own any original art, I've said this before, you really got to get some original art from an artist that you love, you know? I mean, don't think you're going to go buy some Jack Kirby piece or something, right? But like, yeah, like go get some art, because it is very enriching to look at if you're a fan of art, or if you are an artist. Get some art by other people, hang it up, look at it. Get some original art. Look at how the ink soaks in the paper and what spots were erased more than others. Oh, you know what else? I meant to fill this in down here, which I am going to do with the brush. Edison said, oh wow, thanks. Yeah, absolutely, dude. It did reach me safely. You did a great job packing the order there, Edison. Great job packing the order. I was impressed. I don't work. I shouldn't say this. I hope people will still buy stuff from me, but like, I don't pack it nearly as like securely as a lot of people that I know. Like, and I've been pretty lucky so far, but like I got a package from Felix not too long ago, and I was like, dang, dude. And I mean, that's the way it should be. Felix is absolutely right for doing it that way, you know. But it's like his stuff is like just perfectly packed. Nothing could ever possibly happen to it, you know. And that's pretty cool. But yes, Edison did a great job. Great job on the pinup too. It looks great in the book layout, and I can't wait to see if it will look great printed, hopefully, you know. That's when you really know that everything's worked, is when you have the book in your hands. I started that new Predator show, that animated movie, but I have not finished it yet. So next week, maybe next time I stream at least, I don't know if it'll be next week actually, because I'll be out of town on Tuesday. I would like to talk about that. So if anybody's seen it, no spoilers, but I am 2/3 of the way through it. So far, I would say I'm glad that I'm watching it. I feel like they have not messed up Predator as bad as everything else yet, knock on wood. Getting art from other people is the best and so inspiring. Hoping to grab a page from ERIS. Thanks, Greg. That's really nice of you to say. Felix is top notch. That is true. That is true. And a nice guy. These little trees are kind of fun. I've been rereading Fall Sunrise, if you can't tell. Hey, whoopsie. Some sirens out there. Yeah, this is a fun way to do trees. I like this. All right. Now hopefully that'll dry enough that I can do a couple letters before we are done here. I really should have left myself more room. This is going to be hilarious. Tyrell. White Sox or Cubs? Well, you know, not a baseball guy, so I'll say Bulls. I like that the Sox are sort of like the team for people who live and work in Chicago, you know, and the Cubs have become sort of a team that everybody likes, and that's cool. But they're just kind of different, you know. They're different from each other. Flip this over for a second. Oh, thanks, Greg. So is everybody else working tonight, or just hanging out? I'm sure a lot of folks are going to Heroes. I will not be there this year, but I really hope it's a good time for everybody. It's looking like it's going to be full of really awesome people, really cool people to see there. So I regret being unable to go, but you know, there's plenty of cool stuff to see there without me. But hey, if you want me there next year, let them know. Say, hey, why isn't Tyrell Canyon at the show this year? I remember being a kid and my mom was doing some kind of craft and she was doing calligraphy. She had like a calligraphy marker and it just blew my mind. I was like, that is so cool. And so I've always kind of messed with calligraphy and letters and stuff since then. And then, of course, when I started making my own little comic books as a kid, I would make my own titles and stuff, right? Like, you know, you gotta like draw your X-Men logo or whatever your book is, you know, your comic book is. And that always felt like that's how it's supposed to be, right? It always felt like you're just supposed to do all that yourself. So that's maybe why I still do a lot of that stuff for projects when I can. Edison says, did I miss the secret project reveal? Oh no, Edison's comic has been delayed. I'm sorry, man. Greg is going to bed. Hey man, appreciate you. Thanks for stopping by. So Edison, you could obviously watch the stream, you know, some other time and see the earlier part where I did a little sneak peek. But if you go to the if you were going to go see what Marvel has solicited for August, you would see that my name is on a Fantastic Four comic that is scheduled to come out in August. So I already did a story, and it will be featured in there. So I haven't done a big announcement yet because it hasn't really been a lot of places, but it popped up in the solicits today, so I was like, yeah, I'll tell the peeps here. And so yeah, as the project grows closer, I'll probably post something about it and you know, show off some more art and things like that from it. So yeah, very excited. I'm very excited, and I really hope everyone goes and picks it up. So you know, I'll have more information. You know, right now I'm just sort of sneaking it out there. But it was a fun one. I had a blast. That's usually a good sign when I'm having a good time drawing the thing. It's usually a good sign that it's going to be a good one. And then tonight I'm working on this other secret project, which is just this one here. It's about alien people, like alien UFO conspiracy theorist people. And it's like a little guidebook that I'm doing. So every page will be a little intro to one of the people in the field and sort of an overview of what they're about, and a little drawing of them, a little portrait. So you're going to see the other side of Tyrell's weird brain. But I thought, even though it's totally not about, you know, the kind of stuff I do, I'm still going to give it a badass logo, you know? You got to give it a badass logo. And if people dig it, I was like, this is like, this first volume is just barely scratching the surface. It's like, you know, there's so many crazy personalities in that world. I'd love to do more about it. But one thing at a time. Let's do these pages first. Alright. Profits of disclosure. So they're always, a lot of them are always talking about disclosure, which is this idea that the government has all this information about UFOs and crashed ships and all this technology, and they just haven't released it to the public yet. And, you know, if we get the right circumstances, then all this information will come out somehow, you know, through whistleblowers or through official releases or something like that. So there's a lot of folks in this area that talk about that as sort of one of their main talking points that keeps people interested in them, and they just kind of always are kicking the can down the road, you know, of like, next week they're going to tell us all about the UFOs, and then next week comes and goes, and no UFOs. But it's pretty interesting stuff. I'll leave it at that for now and save the rest for the book. And now I actually have to do it because I've spoken about it. Edison, thank you again. Happy for me. Thank you. And I'm excited to see what you're working on too, dude. It's good to see people busy. I like that. Because things is hard sometimes. I will say, you know, I'm glad I'm doing it, but drawing comics not a stable ride that you can sort of just kick back on, you know? But hey, if it was supposed to be any other way, I guess it would be, huh? Alright. I'm going to try to firm up these letters a little bit. And then I'm going to, hopefully by then this will be dry enough I can press some of these other ones on, and we can see what that looks like. And you guys can see what that process looks like. And I can see what that process looks like. I did one earlier. I think I got the hang of it. It's pretty easy. But, you know, it's going to be hard for me not to lean super deep on this and get in the way of the camera. So I've not really done any super formal training in like typography or anything like that. Other than, you know, I do hand lettering in my comics, and I have I've done some basic graphic design type work and learned some of that stuff when I was in school, but I kind of just look at things, look at letters and stuff, and then I don't know. I just try to like internalize it a little bit, and then see what pops out when I start working. So obviously I'll use a reference, like if I'm doing letters like these, I'll reference like maybe a more formal version of calligraphy. But then once I start doing it, I want to kind of twist it a little bit and illustrate it a little bit, if that makes any sense. So that it's not so cold. Working on my own solo stuff right in the middle of it. On chapter 8. Wow. How many pages are in a chapter, man? That's a lot of chapters. That's exciting. I know the grind though, man. It's like you try to do as much as you can with the time you have. There's always compromises, but I feel like, as long as the compromises don't change the work and make it no fun for you anymore, that's what I'm always trying to do, is like, okay, if I compromise on this, am I just gonna hate it? And then it's no good. Around 20. Okay. Wow, dude. That's a lot of drawing, man. Godspeed. Are you trying to have it done by a certain time, or are you just kind of working as you can? Hopefully you can print it up. That would be great. Doing hand lettering makes my eyes dry out. It's like staring so hard. It's like staring so intensely. That's all right. Finish ASAP. Gotta pay the bills. You seem to be busy with commissions for sure, man. Hey, Brunson. Releasing the chapters in your solo anthology since 2021, but after chapter 6, realized you have to reprint the earlier issues over and over again. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly, Edison. I mean, that's basically where I ended up. Is you print issues so you have something to give people when you're working on it, but ultimately that's not a sustainable way to do it over a long period of years, right? Like it's not. Logistically you end up having all the wrong numbers of all the books, and so a trade form is always going to be best in my opinion when you're an independent artist. At least as much fun as it would be to do the issues, unless you're a big enough operation that you can sustain that kind of workflow, it's not really the best way to do it, and that means you got to wait a little longer sometimes, but I don't know. I think most people would rather just have the whole story, or like read it online and then buy the whole story, And that's what I do. That's what I would like to do with a lot of projects when I'm reading them, but also when I'm releasing them. That's kind of the way I'm thinking about doing it. Well, when you do that, Edison, let us all know. We'd love to see it. Sure, it will be rad. So probably not as exciting, but it's, you can see kind of how I did this. I did this drawing on my mock-up. This is my mock-up where I'm going to be drawing everything. I like to plan it, and then I started drawing it on here in pencil. Did an ink version of it on here, just scrap paper. Traced that onto here, and then now we're sort of embellishing from there. That's sort of my process. Edison didn't think you would get this far. Well, hey, congrats. You did get this far. And you'll go further, man. It just is a matter of, like, going. If you wait around for something to happen to make it, happen, it's not going to happen. Whatever it is, making a book, writing a song, going on a trip. A lesson I am learning. And I used to think about that too, like how much work I've done, but it's just like I've done so, now I feel like I've done way more work than I've ever, obviously the work just continues to go more and more. But lately I'm feeling like, man, I have so much more to draw, like so many more things to learn and do. The deeper you get into any topic, the more kind of infinite it becomes. And that's sort of where I'm at right now. Like I feel like 10 years ago I probably would have had a very concise intelligent and completely wrong take on comics, you know. And now I know better. And if you've never hand lettered a book, give it a shot sometime. It is very satisfying, especially if you're doing it on the page. It's really satisfying to like have on your drawing board the thing that is like the finished comic in a lot of ways. And you get a new appreciation for letterers. And hey, don't they deserve a little credit here too? Come on. So from the initial sketch to the kind of where I'm at now with these letters, some of the changes happen just kind of from drawing. Other changes come from like, you know, trying to add a little, you know, twist it, or like I was saying before, like add a little flourish to it or something. So I like to do a few passes, like that way of working is really good for me, because then when you get to the final drawing you can feel intuitive and, you know, familiar, and so everything comes out just like a little bit more confident. Hey, look at that, you guys trading books out there. I love it. Good stuff, dude. Good stuff. Alright. This is dry enough down here. I might go ahead and do those letters just so we can see what that looks like, and then maybe work on this just a little bit longer. So let's go ahead and do those letters. Show that. Now I'm just going to use it to stick my name on here. And so really all I'm going to have to do with this, if I wanted to make my comic covers, photocopy it. And that's the way I used to do it back in the day. You just draw it, and then you copy it. And you staple it, and fold it, hand it out to people. Put it on a shelf in a store. That's the real juice right there. That's comics to me. Alright, let's finish this letter and then take a look at those white ones. Alright. Yeah, it's looking alright. Just one more. Cool. Okay. So check these dudes out. Brunson is so pumped for ERIS. Me too. Me too. See, we got these sweet little letters here. And I'm probably going to get the spacing all wrong. Let's see. Tyrell. Cannon. Maybe like right there. So what you do with these bad boys is you take a burnishing tool of some kind. I have a bone folder, and you press it down, firmly. And hopefully this transfers to the paper. Like that. See? I think I might have just, I need to not burnish. It's because of the ink that happens, not because of this thing. But okay, so let's spell my name. How do I spell my name? Why? Anyway, I think this is pretty cool. R This is fun. This is very fun. My daughter has been learning how to spell and read, so I'm used to like saying every letter as I do it. Also leave it to me to like misspell my name on my cover here. L. L. Yeah, I gotta see if I can find some of these again. Like if I have a project that could use them. Tyrell, that's me. You know what? And it's not gonna be, this is all off center. Maybe I'll fix that digitally, I don't know. This is the risk you take when you're experimenting, I guess. BC. Oh, didn't quite get all that one. All right, A. So you get the general concept here. I knew I shouldn't have used the brush pen ink for this part. I should have used some other ink. I'm just such a sucker for my brush pen. Okay, two more. This This is very satisfying. This is almost as fun as screen tones. Look at that. That's pretty cool, even if I didn't get it centered correctly. That's okay. That's okay. And we're just going to clean up these edges a little bit here. It's still going to look cool on the original. There'll be a little flare that makes it different from the printed version. There we go. Yeah, what happened was when I burnished it down, the paper wasn't sticky, but the ink was still just wet enough and like not secure enough that it pulled up a little bit. Which is why I should use a different ink, but here we are. Here we are. Listen, that's so cool. Yeah, it is really cool, man. I was showing those off earlier. I got some other ones in there. If you watch back a little bit on the stream, you'll see. Alright, I'm going to clean these up, and then that might be about it for me tonight. It's been a long day. Busy day tomorrow. We've got dance recitals and all kinds of stuff to do. It's going to be one of those days where it just goes and goes. Cool. This too might be done for. Let's get a new tube. I've been craving a new tube. There we go. That's what I wanted. That's the two that I wanted. Sometimes you just want the pen to feel the way it's supposed to feel, and when you get one that's like a little bit used, it's like not quite right. And that last one was a lot bit used. And you know what? This will probably end up with some screen tones on it. I'll either have this done next time I stream, or I'll finish it next time I stream. I'll probably have it done because I really got to get cranking on this book. There we are. It's not bad. It's not bad. Just to feel a little. All right. All right. Ridiculous, you guys, ridiculous. All right, folks, that is going to be it for me. But thank you, everyone, for tuning in. And like I said, I'll have some more information about those projects on future streams. Like, subscribe, all that kind of stuff. And I'll catch you hopefully in 2 weeks.